Hello everyone and welcome to the DM side. It has been about a month since I've uploaded a video. Originally, when Calamity came out, was being released, I was going to make small recaps for people, but oh my god, as soon as I started watching the first episode and just experiencing the lore drop that Brennan was giving us, as well as the new characters, as well as just understanding the world that we're in as well and the time frame and what's happening, it was it was overwhelming in a good way, but it made me realize, like, I just don't think I can recap this in a short 5-minute video, and I just think I have to enjoy this as a viewer. And what I'll do is make a video at the end discussing the things that I liked about the show, discussing things that I appreciated about the show, and discussing things that maybe I didn't really enjoy, and then getting your thoughts. So that's what this video is going to be. So like and subscribe. I'm back. We're getting straight into it. We've obviously got Campaign 3 coming out next week, so look forward to that. Comment down below if the video sound is very good. Normally I have got my pro mic on top of my camera going, as well as I have this mic collecting the sound as well when it's just down here, and I sync the two together for crisp audio. But I got a new lens, which means the camera is way closer to my face now, which means that audio mic up top can actually catch it better. This is a bit of a test to see how it does in the space. Let's get into a little bit of a chat. Let's start with the things that I absolutely loved, okay? So we're gonna go through this little step by step. Brennan is an amazing DM, and I love it. You know, there's a lot of conversation right now going on about how, remember, is Brennan the new god DM of D&D's, dethroned Matt Mercer? And you know what, we can all agree at the end of the day, they're both fantastic DMs. They have different DM styles. They're both fantastic. I'm so excited to watch more of Brennan's DM stuff on Dimension 20 now, because I just never really take the time to do it because I'm so engrossed in my normal life, but also then Critical Role takes up a lot of time. So I'm going to try and squeeze in a little viewing of Dimension 20 because he really is a hilarious, amazing person. But specifically, what did I think he did well in Calamity that he may not do in Dimension 20 or other shows that he runs? So comment below because you may know better than me. Something I really liked is Calamity felt less of a game of Dungeons and Dragons, and it actually felt more like a story, a narrative, a radio play almost, because we know what happens to the Calamity. We know the lore already, like little glimpses of it. We understand what happens. And when they were setting it up, not once did they make it sound like they were going to be able to undo the Calamity. And so something that I love that Brennan did, which I think they were trying to do in the previous Exandria Unlimited shows, but it didn't work as well, is that Brennan pushed the story forward. But he didn't bother giving us, at times, there were a few, but he didn't bother giving us, or giving the characters, a chance to change certain things. Because some things had to happen. There was no make a roll, and then being a low roll, and then him going, oh, I guess we have to change that, or I have to finagle a way around it, because this event actually has to happen for the story to progress. And I've only got 4 episodes, so I have to condense it all down. So what he was doing, which I really thought was very smart, was he was just going, your character would know this. You've been up here, you're like the grandmaster of this, or you're like the grand architect of this, so you don't have to roll for it. You know this. This is your baby. This is like your life's work. I'm not going to get you to make a history check or an intelligence check or an arcana check on something that you know. And that just helped the story move forward very fast, and I think it really helped the pacing of the story, and it made us as viewers go, yeah, that makes sense. You're a level, like, what, 14, 15 character or something like that. You've been doing this job for 7 years. Yeah, it makes sense that you don't have to roll for it. And then when there were some things that they were trying to discern a little bit more about, yeah, of course they got a roll, but then the DC was not too difficult, or he would tell them this is what you're aiming for to get a bit more, to glean a bit more information. That's definitely probably one of his DM styles, is to go, this is the number you're aiming for. And I think I really liked it because in this instance, it allowed the other players to go, is it worth me spending my ability to help boost them because we need this information? Because we don't know if a 15 is a high enough roll anymore when it comes to high level campaigns. You just got to wait and see. But now they have a bit of information. So the way that Brennan presented the show, the way that he pushed it forward, it never felt like he was taking away player agency, but it did feel like he was just allowing them to know more because they should know more. There were only a few moments where I remember Sam saying things like, why am I going there again? Because Brennan had said, you start heading to this place. And it took a bit for Sam to agree that, well, this makes sense. I mean, I guess where else would I be going? I don't need to think about that decision because it makes sense that my character would go there to see the other players or to deal with this problem, things like that. So they were very small moments. I will say on the flip side, something that I didn't like about it is that there were a few key moments that Brennan did give a role to, and it's because it is Dungeons and Dragons, and for those key moments, you want to feel like the players are making the right decision, and you want to make it feel like the players' roles do matter. So what it really means is that there were a few moments towards the very end where we all went, oh, you're giving them a second chance because you need this to succeed, but you can't just say it happens. It's a player moment. They have to succeed. And so there was a few finagling of the rules. I believe there was a bit going on there where certain things were going to happen because Brennan had more knowledge. He knew about hit points. He knew about ability to stop something or to allow something. He had more information as the DM. The players didn't. And I think the players were doing their best to work around it, but there was already a bit of a success in it. If you know what I'm talking about, you know. And if you don't, then go watch it. You'll understand. Overall, I think the pacing was very good. Next thing that I absolutely loved were all the players. I think every single character was fantastic. There is not a single character in that show that I didn't like. I think they all play their characters really well. I love that they weren't just high level and all really good. I actually liked that there was they were a little bit corrupt. They were using their position and their power to get certain things for themselves because they are strong enough. They have the position to demand these things. And realistically, this age of Arcanum, everyone kind of feels a bit too self-important, which is kind of their downfall. Overall, I actually really love the characters because then we see their good side in the end. We do see them trying to fix things. They are the heroes. It's just that things were going so well, why not continue it until it starts to go bad? And the thing is, unfortunately, when things started going bad, it was out of their scope. There was no, we can solve this problem. It is, we need to mitigate the damage. How best can we mitigate the damage? And I think that was the most interesting part of the story, is that it wasn't about stopping the calamity or even that being a chance. That never came up really as an option. It was about how do we mitigate? How do we deal with what's happened? It made me think about the novel that they released, Kith and Kin. The problem I had with that story, and I never made a video on it, but the problem I had with that book was I know Vex and Vax survive. So every time that book made it look like, ooh, they could die, I didn't care because I know they don't. I know they become who they become. The thing I liked about that story was the moments when they were children and we were watching them go through Singorn and we were watching them deal with being taken from their mother and just so many cool moments like that. I just wish the book was more of that. Or something that prequels in general need to do is create stakes that aren't about the main character that you already know where they end up. I want to see how these characters evolve into who they're going to become. I want to see how the calamity comes into effect on the smaller details rather than just being told that there is a calamity. I want to see Vex and Vax as they're growing up and the struggles that inform the decisions that they made as the characters I knew them as. And so Calamity did a fantastic job of doing that. I think that was just a big thing that was really great. And all the players, they ran with that. They knew they weren't here to stop the calamity. And I think they all need props for that. And I think they all deserve just so much because they worked so well together. Special shout out to Marisha Ray because she jumped in because Laura Bailey couldn't do the show. She picked up Laura Bailey's character, modified her for her own play style. I would love to have to hear them talk about the original concept that Laura had and how it was developed into what Marisha ended up playing. It's hard to say something that I didn't really enjoy about the show because I loved it. I really did. And honestly, I would just like more. I wish we got maybe 6 to 8 episodes. I feel like there could have been good breathing moments in there. But it was a rushed thing. This was all happening in the span of a day. And so as much as I want more, I think that's just me being selfish and going, I liked it. I think it's a compliment. I liked it so much that I wish it didn't stop. And that is a good sign for a good show. So if you haven't watched it and you really didn't think you needed to, I think it's worth watching. I also think it's worth watching because the gods keep kind of coming up. Every campaign, something related to the calamity has kind of always been around. And even in campaign 3 now, we're talking a lot about Rudius the moon, and that's apparently connected to the betrayer gods in some way. And so having that background knowledge on the gods and the calamity and how it all came to be, I actually think is going to be really important for campaign 3. I've said for a while now that I think campaign 3 has something to do with trying to release the Betrayer Gods again. So those are my thoughts on Calamity. Overall, it's a fantastic show. Comment down below your favorite part about the show. And as always, until the next video, go roll some dice.